Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling off, confused, doubting your memory, perhaps feeling pushed into something you never intended? These moments are rarely accidental. They are often the quiet work of powerful psychological tactics. Today, we journey into the shadows to illuminate 7 of the most potent dark psychology tricks manipulators use to control your thoughts and actions. By the time we are through, you will not only see them coming, but you will also understand how to stand firm in your truth. Now, dark psychology isn't a course you'd find in a university catalog. It is a term we use to describe the study of psychological principles employed for coercion, deception, and control. It explores the darker corridors of human consciousness, where some individuals prey on others for their own gain. These methods are often the tools of those with what psychologists call the dark triad of personality traits. Narcissism, with its grand sense of self-importance and profound lack of empathy. Machiavellianism, which is all about cold, calculated manipulation. And psychopathy, defined by a chilling absence of remorse. These manipulators can be masters of human behavior, but they use this knowledge not to connect, but to control. We can find them anywhere, in our homes, our workplaces, and even on the world stage. They exploit our most human tendencies, our desire to be liked, our fear of conflict, our need to trust. This exploration is not meant to make you paranoid, nor is it a lesson in how to become a manipulator. Its purpose is to arm you with something far more valuable: awareness. Awareness is your first and most formidable line of defense. By understanding how these tricks work, you can reclaim your autonomy and navigate the world with greater clarity. So, let us begin our journey into the first, and perhaps one of the most insidious, of these dark arts. Part 1. Gaslighting, the reality thief. The first trick is a term that has found its way into our daily language, but its true darkness is often underestimated. It is called gaslighting. The name comes from a 1938 play, Gaslight, in which a husband methodically dims the gas-fueled lamps in his home, all while insisting his wife is imagining it, driving her to believe she is losing her mind. And that is the very heart of gaslighting, a deliberate campaign to make you doubt your own memory, your perception, your very sanity. It is a form of emotional abuse where the manipulator denies reality so thoroughly that you begin to question your own grip on it. The power of gaslighting is quietly terrifying because it attacks the very foundation of who you are, your mind. It works by creating a painful state of cognitive dissonance. You hold a clear memory of an event, a promise, or an argument, but the gaslighter denies it with such unshakable conviction that you are forced to choose between two realities, yours or theirs. Over time, this constant erosion of your confidence leaves you feeling insecure, confused, and increasingly dependent on the manipulator to define your world. They become the gatekeepers of your reality. Consider how this unfolds. In a workplace, a toxic manager might tell you to prioritize Project A. You pour your week into it. When you submit it, he looks at you, bewildered. Why did you do this? I told you to focus on Project B. We're behind schedule now because of you. He might add, you really need to work on your listening skills, or we've been over this. He offers no proof, just absolute denial. After a few instances like this, you begin to doubt every conversation. You start to believe that you are incompetent, that your memory is failing. This makes you less likely to ever question him again, giving him total control. In a relationship, gaslighting is just as corrosive. A partner might deny saying something deeply hurtful. When you say, "It hurt me when you called me overly sensitive," they might reply, "I never said that. You're imagining things. You have a very creative memory." Or they might twist your feelings. "You're not angry. You're just tired. You're overreacting again." This is so damaging because it teaches you that your own emotional responses are wrong. The manipulator rewrites reality to fit their story, a story in which they are never at fault. So, How does one fight back against a thief of reality? First, you must become a faithful record keeper. If you're dealing with a gaslighter at work, document your interactions. After a verbal instruction, send a confirmation email. "Hi Mike, just confirming our talk. I will be prioritizing Project B this week." This creates a written record that is very difficult to dispute. In your personal life, a private journal can be your anchor. Writing down what happened, as it happened, solidifies your reality when you feel it starting to blur. Next, seek an outside perspective. Gaslighters work to isolate their victims because a third pair of eyes can often see the manipulation with perfect clarity. Talk to a trusted friend, a family member, or a therapist. Simply hearing someone else say, "No, that doesn't sound right at all. It sounds like he's trying to manipulate you," can be the validation you need to trust yourself again. Then, you must learn to disengage. Arguing with a gaslighter is an exercise in futility. They will deny, deflect, and confuse the issue until you are exhausted. Rather than being pulled into a debate over what is real, state your truth calmly and firmly, and then end the conversation. Use I statements. "I remember our conversation differently," or "I know what I experienced, and I'm not going to argue about it." The goal isn't to convince them. It's to remind yourself that your perception is valid. Finally, and most importantly, you must set boundaries. A critical boundary is refusing to participate in conversations that attack your sanity. You can say, "I am not willing to debate what did or didn't happen. If you continue to deny my reality, this conversation is over." This isn't about winning. It's about protecting your mind and refusing to allow someone else to become the author of your experience. Part 2. Guilt tripping, the emotional blackmail. The second trick we will explore is a subtle but powerful form of emotional blackmail, the guilt trip. Guilt is a deeply human emotion, one that most of us will do anything to avoid. Manipulators understand this. They use guilt as a lever to control your behavior, making you feel responsible for their emotions to get what they want. It's a tactic designed to make you feel so bad that you comply, often against your own needs and better judgment. The psychology here is rooted in our social nature. We are wired to care about how our actions affect others. We want to be seen as good, caring people. Manipulators exploit this by framing their desires as a test of your character. If you don't do what they want, the unspoken message is that you are selfish, uncaring, or simply a bad person. This works especially well on empathetic and conscientious people, the very ones who are most concerned with the well-being of others. In the workplace, you might hear a manager say, "Look, I know it's late, but the whole team is counting on you." If you were really a team player, you'd stay and help us finish this. This reframes a simple request for unpaid overtime into a question of your loyalty. It puts you in a position where saying no to protect your own time feels like you're letting everyone down. In families, guilt tripping can be even more potent. A parent might say to their grown child, "After all I've sacrificed for you, you can't find time to call me once a day? I guess I know how much I matter." This isn't a request for a phone call. It's an accusation wrapped in guilt, designed to create a feeling of obligation. A romantic partner might say, "Go on, go out with your friends. I'll just stay here by myself. I thought tonight was for us, but I guess I was wrong." This weaponizes your affection, making your choice feel like a betrayal. The manipulator isn't expressing a need. They're making you feel guilty to control your actions. So, how do you disarm a guilt trip? The first step is to see it for what it is: manipulation, not a true measure of your character. When you feel that pang of guilt, pause. Ask yourself, is this request reasonable? Am I truly responsible for this person's happiness? Or are they trying to make me feel bad to get what they want? Second, respond with empathy, but without accepting the blame. You can acknowledge their feelings without taking ownership of them. To the parent, you could say, "Mom, I hear that you're feeling lonely. I love you, but my schedule makes it hard to call every day. How about we set aside a longer time to talk on Wednesday and Sunday? This validates their feeling, "I hear you," while calmly restating your boundary and offering a compromise. Third, use "I" statements to express your own needs. If your partner tries to guilt you into staying home, you could say, "I understand you'll miss me, but I feel it's important for me to see my friends. I'm looking forward to spending time with you when I get back." This frames your decision around your needs, not as a rejection of them. Fourth, and this is vital, you must be willing to tolerate their temporary unhappiness. The power of a guilt trip is in your urge to immediately fix the bad feeling. The manipulator is counting on you to give in. If you hold your ground, they may even double down. But it's not your job to manage their emotions. Your responsibility is to act in a way that is fair to yourself and others. By refusing to play the game, you teach them that guilt is no longer a currency they can use with you. Part 3. Love bombing and withdrawal, the addictive cycle. Our third dark psychology trick is a devastating 1-2 punch: love bombing and withdrawal. This tactic is especially common in the early days of a romance and is a classic sign of narcissistic abuse, though its principles can be seen in other areas, like cult recruitment. Love bombing is just what it sounds like. A manipulator overwhelms you with an intense and unnatural amount of affection, praise, and attention. They shower you with compliments, gifts, and grand declarations. You'll hear things like, "I've never felt this way before. You are my soulmate. My life was empty before I met you." Sometimes within just a few weeks or even days. This isn't real affection. It's a strategy to create a powerful, fast-acting emotional bond and make you dependent on their validation. The psychology here is potent. It taps into our universal desire to be seen, to be valued, to be loved. The initial phase of love bombing feels like a dream. It creates an emotional high, an intoxicating feeling that can be addictive. The manipulator is building you a pedestal, one they will later kick out from under you. Then, once they feel you are hooked, the withdrawal begins. Just as suddenly as the affection appeared, it vanishes. The constant texts stop. The compliments are replaced with silence or criticism. This is the devaluation phase. The manipulator becomes distant and cruel, leaving you confused, anxious, and desperate to get back to the good times. You start asking yourself, "What did I do wrong? How can I fix this?" This cycle of idealization and devaluation creates an emotional roller coaster that breeds dependency. The manipulator has conditioned you to crave their approval. By withdrawing it, they seize all the power. You find yourself working harder and harder to please them, sacrificing your own needs, just for another taste of that initial high. Imagine a new relationship where a partner texts you good morning and good night every single day and constantly tells you how perfect you are. You feel like you've finally found the one. Then, after a month, they pull away. Your texts are left unread for hours. They cancel plans. They become critical. When you ask what's wrong, they might say, "You're being too needy," or "Can't you see I'm busy?" You become obsessed with winning back their affection, never realizing that you are being controlled. To defend against this, you must have vigilance and strong boundaries, especially at the start of any new relationship. First, be wary of any intensity that feels too good to be true. A fire that burns that brightly often burns out quickly. Healthy, genuine connections take time to grow. If someone is declaring their undying love within a few weeks, see it as a warning sign, not as a fairy tale. Slow things down. You can say, "I'm truly enjoying getting to know you, but I prefer to take things at a slower pace." A healthy person will respect that. A manipulator will not. Second, maintain your own life. A love bomber wants to become the center of your universe. Make sure you continue to invest in your friendships, your family, and your hobbies. Your support system is your anchor. They will offer perspective and remind you that your worth is not tied to one person's approval. Third, when the withdrawal happens, see it as the tactic it is, not as a reflection of your worth. The manipulator wants you to blame yourself. Instead, see the pattern, a cycle of control. Do not chase them. Do not beg for their attention. That only feeds their power. Finally, be prepared to walk away. Breaking this cycle often means ending the relationship. This is incredibly hard because you've been conditioned to crave the highs. The manipulator may even try to hoover you back in, sucking you back into the cycle with another round of intense affection when they feel you slipping away. You must remind yourself that the person you fell for wasn't real. It was an illusion crafted to trap you. True affection is consistent. It builds over time. It doesn't come in punishing cycles of ecstasy and agony. Part 4. Triangulation, the divide and conquer tactic. The fourth trick in the manipulator's handbook is triangulation. This is a strategy where a person avoids direct conflict by bringing a third party into the dynamic. The goal is to create rivalry, jealousy, and insecurity. The manipulator places themselves at the top point of a triangle, controlling the flow of information between the other two people. It is a classic tactic of divide and conquer, designed to maintain control and reinforce their own importance. This tactic preys on our social anxieties and our need for validation. By introducing a third person, the manipulator creates a quiet competition. The two people at the bottom of the triangle are pitted against each other, vying for the manipulator's approval, which gives all the power to the person at the top. In a family, a narcissistic parent might create a golden child who can do no wrong and a scapegoat who is blamed for everything. They'll praise one in front of the other, saying, "Why can't you be more like your brother? He's so thoughtful." This not only poisons the siblings' relationship, but forces both children to compete for the parent's favor, making them easier to control. In the workplace, a manager might tell one employee, "You're the only one on this team I can really trust." Then, they walk down the hall and say the exact same thing to another employee. This makes each one feel like the favorite, while sowing seeds of mistrust among the team. When a team is divided, they are far less likely to unite and challenge the manager's authority. In a romantic relationship, triangulation is often used to create jealousy. A partner might constantly bring up their ex, "My ex and I are still good friends. They texted me the other day." Or, "My ex never had a problem with me working late." This is designed to make you feel insecure, as if you're in a constant competition with a ghost. The manipulator enjoys the drama, as you work harder to win their affection. So, how do you protect yourself from being caught in a manipulative triangle? First, refuse to play the game. The power of triangulation lies in the division it creates. The most effective way to dismantle it is through direct communication. If you suspect a manager is playing you against a coworker, go talk to that coworker. You might say, "I feel like there's some tension between us, and I want to clear the air. Our boss told me X, Y, and Z. Have they said anything similar to you?" More often than not, you'll discover you've both been played. By opening that direct channel, you remove the manipulator from their position of power. Second, set firm boundaries around conversations involving third parties. If your partner constantly brings up their ex, you can say, "I'm not comfortable discussing your past relationships. I want to focus on us." If a friend is always complaining to you about another friend, you can refuse to be the messenger. "It sounds like you have a real issue with Sarah. I think it would be more productive if you talk to her about it directly." Third, focus on your self-worth. Triangulation is meant to make you feel less than. Remind yourself that your value is not determined by how you compare to someone else. A healthy relationship should make you feel secure and respected, not like you are in a constant audition. Finally, recognize that people who use this tactic are often deeply insecure themselves. They create drama to feel important. And while you can have empathy for that from a distance, it does not mean you have to participate. The healthiest move is often to distance yourself. By refusing to be a point in their triangle, you reclaim your peace of mind. Part 5. Exploitation of vulnerabilities, the predator's playbook. Our fifth trick is perhaps the most predatory: the exploitation of vulnerabilities. This involves a manipulator identifying someone's deepest insecurities, fears, or needs, and then using that knowledge to control them. It is a deeply personal attack that turns your sensitivities into weapons to be used against you. The psychology here is both simple and sinister. These manipulators are careful observers. They listen intently, not to empathize, but to gather intelligence. They are looking for your weak spots, your fear of abandonment, your desire for approval, your financial worries, your loneliness. Once they find a vulnerability, they craft their manipulation around it, knowing it's the path of least resistance. Deceivers are masters of this. They often target the elderly or the lonely, exploiting a need for connection. A deceiver might spend months building an online friendship with a widow, listening to her stories, making her feel seen and cared for. Once that trust is built, the requests for money begin, framed as a desperate emergency. The victim's loneliness makes them far more susceptible to the lie. In the workplace, a boss might exploit your financial insecurity. If they know you are struggling, they might dangle the possibility of a bonus to get you to take on an impossible workload, saying, "I know things are tight for you right now, and if you can just get this done by the weekend, I'll make sure you're taken care of." They are using your desperation as leverage. In relationships, a manipulative partner will use your deepest fears against you. If they know you have a fear of being abandoned, they will use threats of leaving as their ultimate tool. In an argument, they might say, "If you can't trust me, then maybe I should just go. It's not like anyone else would put up with you." This is designed to trigger your deepest fear, causing you to panic and back down. Protecting yourself requires both self-awareness and caution. First, be mindful of who you share your vulnerabilities with. It is healthy to be vulnerable with those who have earned your trust, but be careful with people you don't know well, especially those who seem overly interested in your problems very early on. A manipulator often fakes empathy to get you to open up. Be slow to trust. True intimacy is built over time, through mutual sharing and consistent, trustworthy action. Second, understand your triggers. What are you most afraid of? What do you crave the most? The more you understand your vulnerabilities, the easier it is to see when someone is trying to push those buttons. If you know you have a strong need for approval, you can be on high alert when someone showers you with praise, and ask yourself, what might they want in return? Self-awareness is your internal alarm system. Third, build your self-reliance. Manipulators prey on dependency. The more you rely on someone for your financial stability, your emotional well-being, or your self-worth, the more power they have. Work on building your resources. Cultivate a strong network of friends, improve your financial literacy, and practice self-validation. The less you need from the manipulator, the less power their threats will hold. Finally, if you realize someone is actively using your vulnerabilities against you, see it for the giant red flag that it is. This is not someone who cares for you. This is someone who sees your pain as a tool for their own gain. The most effective defense is to cut off contact. It can be incredibly difficult, especially if they've made you dependent on them, but it is a necessary step. Do not try to reason with them. A person willing to exploit your deepest fears is not a person open to reason. Protect yourself by removing them from your life. Part 6. Manipulative messaging, the "we're a family" trap. The sixth trick often hides in plain sight, dressed up as camaraderie. It's the use of manipulative messaging, particularly in corporate settings. One of the most common and insidious examples is the phrase, "We're all a family here." On the surface, this sounds wonderful. It evokes feelings of loyalty, support, and belonging. But in the hands of a manipulative leader, this phrase becomes a tool for exploitation. It is designed to blur the lines between a professional relationship and a personal one, creating a sense of emotional obligation that can be used to justify unreasonable demands. The psychology of this trap leverages our deep human need to belong. By calling the workplace a family, A company co-opts the powerful loyalties we associate with our real families. The unspoken message is that you should be loyal to the company, even at your own expense, because that's what family does. This is used to excuse a host of exploitative practices. When you're asked to work late for the third night in a row, it's not a violation of your contract. It's pitching in for the family. When you're discouraged from taking a vacation during a busy period, it's because the family needs you. Questioning low pay or poor conditions becomes a sign of disloyalty. You wouldn't sue your brother for asking for a favor, so why would you complain about your work family? The key difference, of course, is the power dynamic. In a healthy family, love is ideally unconditional. In a company, there is a clear and undeniable hierarchy. Your boss can fire you. Your company can lay you off. A family does not throw you out on the street when it's no longer profitable to keep you around. The family rhetoric masks this cold reality, creating a false sense of security that always benefits the employer. This isn't just limited to the workplace. Cults, high-pressure volunteer groups, and political movements use similar language to demand unwavering commitment and create an us versus them world where questioning the leader is seen as a betrayal of the family. So, how do you navigate this without becoming cynical? First, maintain a clear mental line between your professional life and your personal life. It's wonderful to have supportive relationships with colleagues, but your job is, at its core, a business transaction. You provide your labor in exchange for compensation. Remind yourself that professional loyalty should be based on mutual respect and fair treatment, not a manufactured sense of familial duty. Second, pay attention to actions, not just words. A company can talk about being a family, but do its policies reflect that? Do they offer fair pay, good benefits, and respect for your time? Or do they use the family language to demand more from you than they give in return? A healthy organization shows its value for people through concrete actions, not empty slogans. Third, learn to set firm, professional boundaries. It's okay to say no to requests that are outside your job description or consistently violate your personal time. You can be polite but firm. I have a prior commitment this evening and need to leave at 5 p.m. Or, I can take on that additional responsibility. Can we discuss how my compensation will be adjusted to reflect that? This gently reestablishes the professional frame that manipulative messaging tries to erase. Finally, trust your gut. If the "we're a family" talk feels wrong, if it's being used to make you feel guilty for having normal expectations, it probably is. Don't let emotionally charged language override your sense of what is fair and reasonable. You can be a dedicated and hardworking employee without sacrificing your right to be treated as a professional. Part 7. Coercion and Intimidation, the Fear Factor. Our final trick is the most overt, yet still profoundly manipulative: coercion and intimidation. Unlike the other tactics that hide in the shadows, coercion uses fear as its primary weapon. It involves using direct or implied threats to force someone to comply. The threat could be to your job, your reputation, your relationships, or even your physical safety. The psychology of intimidation is primal. It bypasses our rational mind and triggers our most basic fight-or-flight response. When we feel threatened, our ability to think clearly diminishes, and we become focused on one thing: making the threat go away. The manipulator is counting on your fear to override your will. In the workplace, this can be the boss who rules by fear. They may not say, "Do this or you're fired," but the threat hangs in the air. They might use phrases like, "This company has a very long memory," when an employee questions a decision. Or they might publicly humiliate someone for a small mistake to make an example of them, creating a culture where no one dares to speak up. In relationships, coercion and intimidation are the cornerstones of abuse. It can be emotional, like a partner threatening to share private photos if you leave them. It can be financial, where one partner controls all the money to make it impossible for the other to escape. And tragically, it can be physical. The threat doesn't have to be a spoken one. A raised fist, a punch in the wall next to your head. These actions send a clear and terrifying message. This could be you. Even high-pressure sales tactics use a mild form of intimidation. This offer expires in 1 hour. This is the last one we have. This creates a fear of missing out, pressuring you into a quick decision before you've had time to truly think. Defending yourself against coercion can be difficult, and in some cases, dangerous. Your safety must always be your first priority. First, document everything. A clear record is a powerful tool. If you are facing intimidation at work, save every threatening email. Keep a detailed log of incidents, with dates, times, and what was said or done. This documentation is crucial if you decide to report the behavior. Second, build a strong support system. Intimidation thrives in isolation. The manipulator wants you to feel alone and powerless. Reach out to trusted friends, family, or a therapist. Sharing your experience can help you see the situation clearly and plan your next steps. Cautiously connecting with trusted colleagues might reveal that you are not the only one being targeted. There is strength in numbers. Third, know your rights and your resources. At work, familiarize yourself with HR policies on harassment. In an abusive relationship, research local domestic violence shelters and hotlines. Knowing you have options and a path to safety can give you the courage to act. Fourth, practice strategic responses. When confronted, your instinct might be to shrink back in fear or lash out in anger. A more powerful approach is to remain as calm as possible. You can buy yourself time by asking clarifying questions. Can you please repeat that? Or can you explain what you mean by that? This forces them to be more explicit, which they may be unwilling to do. However, and this is vital, you must recognize when confrontation is unsafe. If you fear for your physical safety, your priority is to de-escalate and get away. Your goal is not to win the argument. Your goal is to stay safe. Do not engage. Do not provoke. Create distance and seek help. Coercion is about raw power. The ultimate defense is to take that power back by refusing to live in fear. We have now walked through 7 of the most powerful tricks in the dark psychology playbook. Recognizing these tactics, from the mind-bending confusion of gaslighting to the raw fear of intimidation, is the most important step you can take. This knowledge is your shield. It allows you to see the strings before someone tries to pull them. If this journey has resonated with you, consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. By doing so, you join a community dedicated to deeper understanding. And now, I'd like to hear from you. The comment section can be a powerful place for shared awareness. Without sharing personal details, have you ever recognized one of these tactics at play in the world around you? In a film, perhaps, or a book you've read? Sharing these observations helps us all become more vigilant. Let us build this awareness together. In conclusion, let us recap the 7 dark psychology tricks we have unveiled today. First, gaslighting, the reality thief who makes you doubt your own mind. Second, guilt tripping, the emotional blackmailer who uses your conscience as a weapon. Third, love bombing and withdrawal, the addictive cycle of intense affection followed by cold silence. Fourth, triangulation, the divide and conquer strategy that turns people against each other. Fifth, exploitation of vulnerabilities, the predator's move of using your deepest fears to control you. Sixth, manipulative messaging, the "we're a family" trap that blurs boundaries to exploit loyalty. And seventh, coercion and intimidation, the use of pure fear to force compliance. It is crucial to end with this thought. The purpose of this knowledge is not to teach you how to manipulate. It is the very opposite. This knowledge is meant to be a shield, not a sword. It is meant to empower you, to help you recognize these tactics so you can defend against them, set stronger boundaries, and build relationships based on genuine trust and respect. By understanding the darker side of human psychology, you are not becoming more cynical. you are becoming wiser. You are better equipped to navigate the world, to protect your well-being, and to make conscious choices about who you allow to influence your life. You have the right to your own thoughts, your own feelings, and your own reality. Never let anyone take that away from you.